Hello.
Yeah.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Leaders Talk. This Leaders Talk is presented by Navi Mumbai Chamber of Business and Industry in association with Great Human University. My name is Dhirendra Gautam, and today in our Leaders Talk, we have Mr. Rohan Chopra, who is a senior principal with Infosys Business Consulting. And today we will be talking about managing business and business performance in the time of pandemic. On this leader talk, we invite business leader from diverse business background to understand their views on various corporate and business related challenges faced by our members and viewers who are watching on live on our LinkedIn platform, Facebook, and YouTube. Welcome, Rohan, to our Leaders Talk. Why not introduce yourself to our audience?
Okay. Thank you, Gautam. Thank you for inviting me here for this talk. Really appreciate that. So let me just take this opportunity to briefly introduce myself. Hi, guys, and all ladies and gentlemen there who are watching our live talk show. I am Rohan Chopra. I work as senior principal with Infosys Consulting, and in this as a senior principal with Infosys Consulting, I lead the technology, talent and organization, technology and business solution practice. And I come with 17 years of total experience, and I've worked in my 17 years of experience. I've worked with leading corporates and consulting organizations in the leadership capacity, starting from PricewaterhouseCoopers to Tata Strategic Management Group, which was the strategy consulting arm of Tata Group. I was heading the organizational effectiveness practice there, and I was fortunate enough to build that practice and grew it to a large size. That is. And before before coming into my current role with Infosys Consulting as senior principal, I am I was heading the global M&A HR integration portfolio for Infosys as well. So this is in brief what I was doing. And in terms of expertise, I have advised client at board CXO levels across problem areas ranging from strategy to supply chain transformation to cost optimization to organizational effectiveness to people processes and so on and so forth. So these are the things that I've been doing, and I'm very thankful to you all, and especially to Gautam for inviting me, and would be happy to share my perspective today.
Great. Thank you for sharing your expertise, Rohan. And I would like to ask, you had a wide experience in industry, in business transformation and merger and acquisition and all sorts of business performance and optimization of profit, cost, and all those things. So, as you know, last year plus, we are all impacted by this pandemic, and managing the business performances is always a challenging part. In a normal time, also, it is a challenging work. But in this kind of situation where a lot of other external challenges are there, what kind of advice you would like to give us to the business owner and business leader, especially how they can enhance their performance, especially the business performance?
Yeah, okay. So, yeah, very true. You rightly said that this last 1 year or so has been a very difficult time, not only for small businesses or medium, micro, small and medium enterprises, but for the entire industry at large. So I think today's business leaders need to significantly accelerate digital adoption in their companies from three perspectives, and this is what I will advise them. First, they have to enable employees to perform work remotely by providing them all required digital tools and technologies. So this is what they have to do first and foremost. They have to enable their employees so that they enable their employees so that they are able to perform their work remotely. Work from home should become the new norm as far as managing the challenges posed by this COVID pandemic is concerned. Second, they have to transform their traditional brick and mortar business model into a digital business model, which means going forward, they will have to sell their product and services digitally to their consumers by transforming the entire O2C cycle. And by O2C, I mean order to cash cycle. So, if they were deploying or using the traditional business brick and mortar business model of selling goods by through the retail stores uh, by manual means, now they will have to give away that practice and move away from that practice and adopt a digital business model of selling their product and services, and not only selling their product and services but transforming the entire O2C cycle digitally. So that is very essential. They also have to digitally transform their complete business operation, which includes the entire process of procurement to pay and record to report processes. So, procure to pay, if they are, because any product and services that you are selling requires some form of raw material to be procured. If it is a services, the raw material could be in the form of the knowledge and the knowledge and information that your employees possess, because the services are being delivered with the help of the employees. So procurement of employees or talent becomes important. But if it is a product that you are delivering, then procurement of raw material becomes very important, and the entire process of procuring those raw material needs to be transformed digitally till the time when till the step of making the payment to your vendors for procuring those raw materials and those services, those items which you intend to convert into a finished product and sell to your consumer. So the entire procure to pay process need to be transformed digitally, and then finally a record to report process also need to be transformed, which means that once you have procured raw material, transformed into a finished product, sold it in the market, delivered it to your consumer, then the entire process of recording the sale, creating your general ledger, trial balance, your financial statement, reconciliation, all that record to report process also need to be transformed. Similarly, from also you enable all critical people processes digitally. So that is also very important, because you know that, and one needs to adopt to this new habit or new normal of working with employees, with your talent digitally, and enabling them or empowering them by providing them digital tools and technologies, not only to help them work productively, but also to carry out various employee level transaction, which are provided in the form of people policies and processes that you would have designed for your employees. So those also needs to be made available on the digital, so that at a click of a button, people dispersed at different places, working out from different locations, should be able to do it, should be able to avail execute those transactions, avail those services at a click of a button, and without any hassles, without any effort and pain. So this is the third thing that I felt, and fourth is that we have to, as especially these all organizations, I think, will have to of your employees by allowing them work from home on one hand, and and customer on the so you have to enable your employees on one hand, and you also have to enable your customer on the other. As I said, you have to transform your entire O2C cycle. So when I'm saying enable your employees, so I'm saying that you are empowering them to work from anywhere, anytime, at a click of a button. That is that kind of convenience and effortless, painless enablement you have to do for your employees, and so is the enablement that you have to do for your customer. He doesn't need to make effort, pain to buy your services, buy your product. So it should be enabled on a digital platform, so that he is able to procure, buy those services and product of yours from anywhere at a click of a button. So that you have to do. I think you have to give, especially customer, the and you also have to give them, especially customers, the confidence and services and its delivery doesn't pose any health risk to them. So that is also you need to communicate. So communication in the time of COVID becomes very important, especially from employee as well as customer point of view. So you have to give confidence to your customer that consuming your product and services does not lead to any health risk to them. Similarly, the same communication and confidence you have to generate for your employees, and that I think will go a long way in terms of ensuring that you don't lose out business. And even if you have lost out business, that fall in your business should not continue to grow. Rather, it is halted, and the customers which may have gone away from you should come back. So this confidence generation is very important. And from employee perspective, I feel that all business leaders will have to adopt the idea of hybrid workplace, which will be partly office and partly home. And they should have to completely shed both the expectation and the habit of asking employees to come to office for work. This way, not only they will you guys as entrepreneurs, as a business leaders, will allow employees the flexibility to work from their own space, but also will allow your employees the flexibility to work at their own pace. So flexibility is a key. If you allow them, I think you would find more productivity coming from employees and more engaged employees. For driving the business performance, it is also very essential, I feel, that one keep its employees motivated and their morale up, and therefore one needs to use digital tools to recognize effort and contribution in routine course. Plus one should quickly learn to move on to digital ways of engaging employees, and more importantly allowing work from home. And more importantly, one needs to understand the risk of that is associated with allowing people to work from home, which is basically the blurring of line between professional and personal time. And therefore organizations like yours need to ensure that employees personal time is not encroached upon. In the name of discharging official duties, organization should respect employees personal time and space, and ensure that no meetings are organized as a routine beyond the official working hours or other odd times. Employees should be disturbed on should not be disturbed on weekends, and yeah, this is you have to be very conscious about the fact that you should provide them the continue to provide them that balance between personal and official workspace and work time. And only in case of emergency you should breach on their personal time. And because if you mix up employees personal time with his official work time, then you may end up risking employee burnouts. And this is what one of the challenges that has COVID has thrown open upon all of us as leaders and managers. How do we engage our employees better, and so on and so forth. So this is all what I think is what I intend to suggest to our.
Great. I think you have covered almost all the areas, Rohan, from digitization to organization to the health and safety to how to manage the employee, how to manage the work from home. I think we have covered most of the areas how our people, people who are watching on our live show, they can implement even 50% of those whatever you have been sharing. I think they will able to create a better impact in their organization in improving the performances.
I
One question
agree.
has been asked by the users: digitization may be costly. I think that is not. There are cheaper source of digitizations are also available in the market.
I
Like
agree. Yeah, yeah. There are multiple sources. There are plethora
yeah,
of products available in the market, and
right,
ranging from, for example, if you enable employees to work remotely, there are a cheaper product, a freer product also available, ranging from Zoom call to Microsoft Teams.
yeah,
MSME may not be able to afford Microsoft Teams, but
yeah,
then there are other digital platforms available which will enable their employees to work seamlessly, effortlessly, painlessly. And
yeah,
these are like Zoom call. You have a couple of other product available in the market, whether it is
yeah,
Google Meet
right.
or multiple
There,
others which are available in the market, and they can use them very very easily. and
yeah,
and
yeah,
I think all work needs to happen digitally. That is the way one should go ahead, especially uh, especially as a challenge being especially to counter the challenge posed by the pandemic. And even after pandemic, when the pandemic gets over, I think one should psychologically get ready to accept the new normal, not only accept, adopt the new normal of seeing people working remotely. So I
yeah,
think employers always had this dilemma of how much and to what extent people should allow work from home, and only to some extent IT companies have adopted that way of working, and larger set of organizations never adopted that. And I think COVID has become a watershed moment from that perspective, for us to accelerate digitization in the organization and accept new ways of working. And going forward, please ensure that you should follow a hybrid workplace, wherein most of the some days employees, you can bring employees to office, and mostly and the number of people coming to office should also be restricted to certain percentage of employees at any day, or at any point in time during the month. And I think you would not only see a productive workforce, but a more engaging and healthier engaging and happier workforce. At the same time, you would also reduce your infrastructure cost. The office expenses would come down, and you would save a lot of money in that. Yeah.
great. I think that's also very insightful. Rohan, the other question I would like to ask you, like, in this tough time, of course, some of the industries are still getting impacted and not on the mark. But whereas some of the other industry, like, pharma and all those, they are doing really great.
Yeah.
FMCG is great, distribution and retail and e-commerce is doing great. So there are many industry who are doing great. So, do you have any advice, like, if the business owner or the business leader who wants to diversify their business to, like, cover their growth and profitability target, which are the area they should be diversifying it if they have to look for?
No, I think especially in the context of Gautam, your audience, which is MSMEs, I won't suggest any diversification as such in the times of COVID.
Okay,
Beyond a minimum diversification which one needs to always have. And that diversification is not from the point of definitely it adds up to your definitely adds up to your growth, but more importantly to hedge your risk, because in order to face such tough challenging times, you always need to have all businesses need to diversify the risk. If they don't, there is a possibility, as you would have seen in this challenging times, and you would have read in newspapers also, and it was all covered. Almost 35. There has been 22, more than 22 million people have lost their jobs.
Yeah.
There are companies who have curtailed on their spending. Both on the supply side and demand side, we have seen major disruption. On the supply side, we have seen the procurement of raw material has become difficult because the transportation and logistics are not, especially during the lockdown, it was not working. Interstate transportation and
Right.
interstate mobility was impacted. Large scale layoffs happened. People didn't have money to pay their employees. On the demand side, the consumers, since people were laid off, they didn't have the money to spend. Besides that, there was a lot of uncertainty, and hence people were holding were holding onto their consumption. They were holding on to their spending. As a result, which impacted the demand. So what I'm trying to say is that it is very important. Diversification is important from the perspective of hedging your risk. You can't depend on one side of business which may come into. If you would have been only in transportation, you would have been at the brink of closing down. If you
Yeah.
would have been in the aviation, if you don't have deep pockets, companies would have closed down. If you would have been in the travel industry, you would have closed down. If you would have been in the retail industry, you would have been closed down. So anything which was brick and mortar, traditional, involved people's movement, entertainment, all these industries, entertainment, travel, transportation, or logistics, all these entertainment, all these got severely impacted. And if you would have been in this business wholly solely in only in this business, you would have been severely impacted. And many, especially in the MSME sector, would have almost 30 to 35% of the businesses, small businesses, would have closed down in my sense.
Right.
And so from the perspective of hedging your risk, you should always don't keep all your eggs in one basket. You should keep diversify your business from that perspective, so that you are able to better face up these challenging times. So you should have a business which, even if such challenging times come up, should continue to give you cash inflow. And the biggest challenge that most small businesses faced during this time was liquidity crunch. They didn't have enough cash flows to survive.
Yeah.
So from that perspective, I would say that diversification from hedge perspective. You need to do, and where you need to do it depends on which sector you are operating in. And think the biggest diversification that you need to do is that if you are in the transportation model,
Yeah.
or if you are in the transportation industry or a travel and tour industry, or you are in the ticket booking industry, or you are having a cinema hall, or you are having a big retail outlet, or a showroom, a sort of a business. So how do you diversify the risk? The only way for you to diversify your risk, or diversify your business, is to quickly move on to a digital way of selling. So quickly move on to digital model of a digital business model. Quickly diversify from traditional way of selling to start selling online. If you are able to do it, I think the faster you do it, the better it is for you, because then you would start seeing that the liquidity problem is you would be able to easily manage it. So,
Yes.
from diversification perspective, I feel that again the key is digitization. The key is how can you move on to online business model from your traditional brick and mortar model.
Yeah. Great. I think whatever you say is totally agreed, Rohan. Like, diversification for a MSME or SME industry becomes very challenging, because it's not easy to get into a different business immediately, where you have always cash is always a problem. Funding is always a problem for the MSME industry, and resources are also limited. But the perspective was to ask the question was that, a smaller business people if they are doing the business, they got impacted, and they are
I
verge
agree
of, and they are a verge
completely.
of, like, losing the business or closing the business. So they have to do something to survive. Like,
So two things I would like to add, Gautam, here. One
yeah,
is, one is that you have to diversify to hedge your risk, as I was saying. How
yeah,
do you don't put all your legs in one basket? So I
right,
would give you one firm which was doing a brick and mortar logistics business, and then they quickly turned around and went online and started taking all orders online and delivering deliveries. Started managing deliveries. Through online. So
right,
basically, you have to start selling your services online. So that is one thing. Second, I think one also needs to understand, depending upon your nature of business. If you are in the grocery business, then I think e-grocery is continue to stay is going to be the future. So going
right.
forward, you would see the grocery business or grocery delivery business that has got disrupted due to COVID, and people have shifted from buying physically the grocery. They have started buying online. So that behavior
Yeah,
will continue post COVID also. Once the COVID get over, that digital adoption that consumers have done to start buying grocery online will continue, and hence it makes more sense for you to diversify. If you still haven't diversified to online selling, if you are selling it offline, continue to sell offline, but quickly come on the online model as well. So for you example, if you are a small kirana store and people are scared to come to your to buy physically, then put yourself on Amazon, put yourself on GeoMart, which is again trying to aggregate all the kirana stores. And so you can do that, because in long run, consumer behavior, as it happened in case of demonetization, that which accelerated the growth of or the adoption of digital payment. Similarly, this has COVID has accelerated the adoption of digital consumption, and one such consumption which is going to happen digitally is grocery. So if you are in the
yeah,
grocery business, grocery retailing, kirana stores, then move into this. If you are into education, I think school and colleges, the way of education, schooling will not continue. So even if you have adopted if you, even if you have not adopted so far, you are in the school business where you are running a school and you have not adopted going forward, I don't see that consumption of education, schooling education, K-12 education online will continue. The moment COVID get over, schools will reopen, and kids would like to go to school, because it is not only the education or the studies that they consume, that they go to school to consume, but rather for their overall development, which is social development on one hand, academic development is definitely there, plus their extracurricular development, holistic development. So when a kid goes to school, he goes for overall development, and hence schools are not going to be replaced by online schools. So that if you are running a school, I think you can be rest assured that schools are going to remain there, and online can only supplement. So you may at times, over a long period of time, in future, you may find some schools would start offering some few days or one day in a month classes online, but largely the schools would remain there. In my view, physical schooling will continue, e-schooling will go off or would diminish. And from a leisure and travel perspective also, I feel that leisure travel is going to will start happening physically. Entertainment will happen now, will move to your streaming channels, video streaming channels like
yeah,
Netflix and Amazon. Though theater will come back, future will only tell what will be the. In my view, it will continue. Theater will come back, and people would go, but definitely streaming channels will be have whatever popularity that they have gained will continue. And one more thing I will add, that people who have money in the MSME space, some people would still be doing good. So I think this is the right time for you to diversify by reaching out to those SME organizations which are not doing so well and are facing the liquidity crunch. They don't have money to survive. And they can shut shop any day. So it's always better for you to grow by acquiring those kind of firms, because those kind of firms anyway will get shut down. They are small. They are not going to charge. Even if they were doing well, they would not have been. They may not be in a commanding position to charge higher valuation, though they may not have been ready to sell. But at this point, they would be ready to come on a negotiating table and look at ways to raise funds. So I think it's a very good opportunity for people who are doing well in the MSME space to look out for small SMEs who, for the time being, because of the lack of cash availability, because of cash dearth, wants to raise some funds from the market, wants some cash to survive. Otherwise, they would close down. You can reach out to them and put some money and buy some stake, or acquire those firms, give them some money and take over that business, sustain them for a few months till it anyway the economy is coming back on track. Till the economy come back full on track, you have to sustain the salaries of those employees, and you would find that those customers whom they were unable to serve because of liquidity issues, or the customers have cut down on their spends. Once the economy is back, they will start spending, and they will come back to these SMEs who are on the brink of closure. And since you would have acquired those customers, will become your, and you would have at a very cheap such a low price, you would have got a ready-made business for you to grow it. So this
Yeah,
is all what I will suggest.
that's a really nice and very detailed one. You have explained up to the very minute level what are the things can be done even at MSME level. And coming seeing your vast experience in merger and acquisition and all that, do you see any opportunity for MSME sector to consolidate or having a merger and acquisition now also and going forward also?
So what I think is that for SMEs who have got money, they have an opportunity, for because there are 30 to 35% of the business or even more in India is going to close down, or some of them have already closed down. Some are Many of them are on the brink of closure. So it's an opportunity for you. You would not never have thought of as an SME to acquire any company, but I think neither you may have those deep pockets to acquire even companies of your size also. But this is a good opportunity for you. These companies are having dearth of cash. They are fighting a battle of survival. And on the other hand, people, MSMEs who don't have money, it's a good way to get some money, some cash on the table. Either sell some stake, partner with these MSMEs who have money, or in other words, if you are in the brink of closure, you don't have any cash to survive, to feed your employees, to pay salaries to your employees, to run your operations, to serve your customer. It is better to sell it and get some
Yeah.
money rather than closing it down and getting nothing out of it. And I have seen many of them, not many, hundreds of them closing down without
Right.
getting any money out of it. So it's always better get some money by selling it, or partnering with a bigger MSME who have funds. You may not get, once the business will rebound, will come back into its old shape,
Yeah.
pre-COVID levels. Still, you would still be working, and your business would still be there. And or else you just move out, take some, sell it, and move out. If you would not get the full what you were earning, at least if you get 25% of that, that also is earning for you. So, and with which you can build a parallel business, because it's easy for SMEs to start a new thing, because they are not driven by a huge it doesn't require huge capital. And since they work in local communities, their relationship can always be reinitiated. From global perspective, if some SMEs wants to go global, I think they have a good role to play. Government is coming up with a lot of programs for MSMEs to integrate them in the global supply chain. And I see a play for them. There are 15 relief measures that are declared under the package by the government of India. For there are 15 relief measures that have been taken by government of India recently, out of which 6 were entirely focused towards to empower MSMEs, wherein they are looking at defining the level change for MSMEs. They are looking at providing credit and finance scheme to MSMEs. They are looking at allocating funds for equity participation to MSMEs. They are looking at providing relief in non-performing assets. They are looking at disallowing global tenders, and hence you can participate. They are looking at clearing of dues to MSMEs. So there are various government is also taking a lot of measures to, because this is a very important sector, MSME sector. And I would give you some statistics which will help you understand the importance of your own sector. MSME sector is very important, and it is the second largest employment generator after agriculture. And it
Right.
acts as a breeding ground for entrepreneurs and innovators with considerable support in strengthening the business ecosystem. The
Right.
estimated number of MSMEs in India is 63 million and employs about 110 million individuals. Indian MSMEs produce more than 6,000 products for local and global consumption. And according to DGCIS data, the value of MSMEs related product in India is about $147 billion and
Yeah.
contributes 48.56% of total exports. So 50% of the export during 17-18 came through MSMEs. So MSMEs has a very important role to play as far as India's economic growth is concerned. India's economic GDP is concerned. It contributes 29% to overall GDP. So a government is also taking measures. You are an important constituent to India's economy, to grow the Indian economy, and hence I think there is a huge play available for you. You reach out to there is a separate ministry in government of India called the Ministry of MSME. You reach out to that ministry and work and explore what all schemes they are offering to you, and you can integrate yourself in the global supply chain. How can if people are not exporting, they can look at options to export, and there are various schemes available. Plus, you can also look at partnering with, since you are small, you don't have money to invest, open offices in internationally. You can look at partnering with organizations which are there. For example, you can start exporting your services and product to let's say Middle Eastern country, Bahrain, Dubai, all of that. So you look for partner there and establish collaborate with them in terms of work out some business arrangement in terms of revenue sharing or whatever, and they will become your face in that geography. So make
Yeah.
appoint your partners, appoint your agents, appoint your selling agents, distributors, your collaborators, partners in international geographies who become your face in those geographies, and work out instead of paying them salaries, work out a revenue sharing agreement or some kind of
Right.
understanding, and basis that they will bring business for you, and from here you can service those customers, and so something like that you have to work out.
Yeah, yeah, very well said. I think collaboration, coordination, and building up a partnership in local and global would be a great idea for the MSME to, like, at this stage where the situations are tough, they can sustain and fight. And as you are sharing that the government has already declared many, favorable measures to, support the MSME. And as you are saying that 50% of our exports are coming from MSME, and those so MSME has to grow. And still in India, when you say in compare with the total GDP contribution of the MSME, India have around just 38 to 40%. But all over the European country will say their contribution of MSME in GDP is more than 65%.
I
So
agree. I agree.
yeah, so
There
it
is a
is not
scope.
like
It shows a scope of growth for MSME.
yeah, so it is not like that. There is no scope for MSME in India, but situations are tough. And I think you have shared a lot of the valuable inputs where this MSME people can use them effectively and first to survive, sustain, and then build up a their plan or kind of model where they can collaborate, do tie-ups, do some revenue sharing agreement as you were saying it, and then look for a bigger jump. Like, when situation will normalize, they have the opportunity to bounce back again, and they should be able to get their business back and even grow from there. Uh, the last question I would like to have, Rohan, from you, that how the empowering or growing the leadership, you see, one of the key idea is like that key at MSME level, organization level, the owners and the leadership team is not highly aware of the benefit or the tools and techniques and business process optimization tools, or they don't have any access of the big firm like Infosys or some big company. They cannot afford those kind of things. So having the capability to manage and grow and the business is always a challenge. So, do you see a role of a CXO coaching or business coaching or mentoring or training to the leadership of the organization in MSME could add value in empowering them and bringing them on the path of development and performance enhancement?
I completely. There is a huge scope. There is a huge scope for executive coaching, business coaching, and everybody. If large corporates are using executive coaching, despite the fact that they are big enough to run their businesses, to grow their businesses both nationally and internationally, despite the fact that they have enough business leaders available within the organization, despite the fact that they can attract best of talent nationally and globally. Even after that, if they are hiring business leaders as coaches, if they are buying these coaching services for themselves, what stops what stops MSME from taking it? And my
Yeah,
point is that if global organizations can take these services, despite they having all the resources, despite they being the business leader in their respective businesses, despite they having the best talent, despite they having their presence across the globe, despite they having all the resources, if they are and besides that, they despite they being considered to be the role model for other organizations to look up to them, and they are role model for benchmark processes and systems and so on and so forth. And they would have won so many accolades both at national and international level. Despite all this, if they are hiring executive coaches to train and coach their business leaders, definitely MSME leaders would need more, because they have dearth of such services available to them. Point number one, they don't have the money to pay for it. Second, they don't have access to such services easily available. And within the organization, they can't attract best of talent. And hence, the case for having a executive coach or a business leader as a coach coaching the MSME promoter or MSME founder becomes even more stronger. So the case for coaching MSME founders, MSME business leader becomes even stronger. And as I said, they need the most because they are small. They need to know what are the best practices, how can they grow, how can they, which product to sell, which market to sell, which customer to sell. All these are strategic decisions that needs to be taken. And who best can advise them then? A leader who himself would have built businesses during his professional life can
right.
serve as an executive coach to them and can guide them in terms of how to make a strategy. First of all, how do you build a customer value proposition so that you are able to compete in the marketplace? Not
Yeah,
only compete, but you are able to differentiate your product and services with
yeah,
other available product and services, and hence are able to capture bigger market share in the overall market. So yeah, answering your question, definitely there is a very strong case for executive and business coaching for MSMEs. They should come forward and take. even the biggest of startups which are making big names, and some of the names are Flipkarts and Byju's, and Byju's have been valued at $13 billion in the recent valuation. Paytm, all these leaders who have now become billionaires because of their companies, their startup touching, becoming unicorns, decacons, and so on and so forth, had at some, not at some point in time, but from the very beginning, been guided, mentored,
Right.
and coached by business leaders, startup leaders, and so on and so forth. So coaching and guidance is very, very important, because you are small, you don't have access to all the resources, all the best practices that are easily available to a larger organization. So this is the only way for you to learn what is happening in your startup ecosystem, in your market, in your industry, and learn from them how some of these business leaders have helped their organization to scale up. And you can learn a lot of interesting things from them, and that will be useful for you to scale up your own business.
Yeah, I think the very valuable point, Rohan, you have shared. It is very important. I think the last question, which one of our viewer is asking, uh, he's asking what will be the impact on this pandemic on IT industry with respect of ongoing or upcoming projects. So I think a small answer would be okay from your side.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
see, what I feel that IT industry, I think this is a blessing in disguise. COVID,
yeah,
when it suddenly fell on our head as a bomb.
yeah,
When it fell on our head suddenly last year during the month of February, March, it felt as if it was a bomb. But for IT industry, it turned out to be a blessing in disguise,
yeah.
because what COVID has done what demonetization did to digital payments. And
Right,
that is what COVID has done to digital transformation and digital adoption.
right.
Our country, if they not only our country, globally, though
Yeah.
some of the economies, Western economies, were far ahead in terms of digital adoption when compared to India, but still, I think globally also, and especially particularly as far as India is concerned, it has accelerated the growth of digital adoption across industries, across sectors, across businesses. And this is a huge business opportunity for IT industry, because who's going to benefit from this digital adoption? It is the IT industry, the product companies, the services companies. Digital adoption will become the norm, and more companies, IT companies, would get business. In fact, Infosys, TCS, Wipro, everybody is going giving a good quarterly result, quarter after quarter. So it's going to be a blessing in disguise, and it's going to open up a huge opportunity for IT company from digital transformation and digital transformation perspective, because all these companies, Indian companies or globally companies, uh, are going to speed up their digital transformation initiative. And more companies who have not even thought of doing digital transformation would come forward to undertake digital transformation initiative, which will be a big business opportunity for IT companies.
Yeah, yeah. I think whatever you say is 100% true. One, like one of the industry which has been maximum benefited out of this is the digital industries and IT and the support service provided company, telecommunication. Everybody started doing good. Like
Yeah,
and,
absolutely.
yeah, and most of the
See,
things are
IT industry has specifically benefited, and more importantly, and in Indian context, I think education industry, private tutoring space have benefited a lot. If
yeah,
you look at deals in the last 1 year, if I think a few billions of dollars have been invested into startups. 40 to 60% of that startup money investment have gone into edtech
yeah,
startups.
right,
So all technology enabled companies have benefited a lot. You're right.
right.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah, yeah. So now we don't have any question, and I would like to thank you very much for coming on today's Leaders Talk, Rohan, and it was a pleasure being with you today. Viewers, we are live on LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube, and you have the opportunity to ask any question to us or through our expert, and we will be able to answer your question. And see you on our next Leaders Talk. Till that, this is Dr. D signing it off with a promise to meet you on our next show of Leaders Talk. Thank you very much. Take care of. Goodbye. Be safe. Thank you, Rohan.